What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Before we get into it, you know the drill. If you like this kind of deep dive, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, okay? Let's go. Today, we are talking about what might just be the biggest tech marriage of convenience of the decade. Apple and Google are teaming up on AI, and trust me, this is a story you're going to want to understand.
And wow, that quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly sets the stage for today. We're going to unpack this whole Apple Gemini deal. We'll look at why Apple, literally the biggest company on the planet, was kind of forced to make a deal in the first place. Then we'll get into why Google's Gemini was really the only logical choice. And finally, this is the juicy part, we're going to look at Apple's history, which pretty much suggests this whole thing is destined to end in a super, super dramatic breakup.
All right, first up, let's talk about Apple's big AI problem. It turns out even having mountains of cash can't solve every problem, at least not fast enough. So you've probably heard all the buzz about Apple Intelligence and its whole privacy-first angle. And look, that's brilliant marketing. But it's also masking a fundamental truth. Apple is playing catch-up, big time. Their own in-house AI just isn't powerful enough yet for the stuff that's coming next. And this right here shows you the power gap perfectly. Think of it like this. Apple's on-device models are small, which is awesome for privacy and for basic things like, organizing your photos. But when you want to ask your phone a really complex question about the world, you need a massive frontier model. And right now, Apple just doesn't have one that's ready to go. And then you've got the other side of this problem, scale. I mean, whatever solution Apple picks, it has to work flawlessly for 2 billion active devices. Just think about that number. There are very, very few companies on this planet that can even dream of handling that kind of load. Which, you guessed it, brings us to our next section. So you've got this huge capability gap, and you need this insane global scale. Apple had to look outside its own walls. And in a twist that is just classic Silicon Valley, the best answer was their biggest rival, their ultimate frenemy. So why Google? Well, there are a few huge reasons. For one, Gemini is a leader in multimodal AI. That just means it understands way more than just text. But honestly, more importantly, Google owns the entire stack, the whole shebang. We're talking data centers, fiber optic cables, their own custom TPU chips. It's a real platform, not just some flashy chatbot. And it's already deeply hooked into stuff we all use, like maps. And let's just be honest, this is what it's really all about. For years, Siri has been, well, kind of a glorified egg timer, right? It's great for setting an alarm, checking the weather, but it doesn't really get the world. This partnership is basically Apple's attempt to give Siri a full-on brain transplant, and that brain is being powered by Google. Okay, so the deal makes perfect sense for right now. But this is where the story takes a bit of a dark turn, because if you actually look back at Apple's history, you find out that partnering with them often comes with a very dangerous and very hidden cost. Yeah, this pattern is so common, it actually has a name, the Apple Partnership Trap. And here's the playbook. Apple sees a gap in its technology, it partners with a leader in that field, it learns everything it possibly can from them, and then, the moment its own version is good enough, it kicks the partner to the curb. The end game for Apple is always total vertical integration. And the evidence is just laid out right here. I mean, look at this timeline. In the 90s, Apple partnered with IBM and Motorola for their chips, then ditched them for Intel. In 2005, they partnered with Intel only to, you guessed it, ditch them for their own M-series chips. Even more recently, that Apple Card deal turned into a total nightmare for Goldman Sachs. And today, Google is providing the intellectual engine. I mean, you can see the pattern, right? And you know, this kind of forced partnership isn't just an Apple thing. Right now, both of the absolute titans of the tech world have the exact same vulnerability. Apple is relying on Google, and Microsoft is deeply, deeply tied to OpenAI. What that means is that neither of these giants fully controls what is probably the single most important piece of technology for their future. So, if history is our guide here, what does the future actually hold for this high-stakes marriage? Well, it seems like we can pretty much predict a 3-act play.
Okay, so it starts with the honeymoon. That's where we are now. Siri gets way smarter, iPhone sales stay strong, and Google gets to cash some absolutely massive checks. Then comes the friction. Apple's going to start poaching AI talent like crazy and pouring billions into its own internal models. And finally, you have the divorce. The second Apple's AI is just good enough, they will cut Google loose, just like they've done over and over and over again. But, and this is a really big but, this time, things are a little different. See, unlike those other partners from the past, Google holds a major trump card: the search economy. That deal to keep Google as the default search on iPhones isn't just leverage for Google. It's a massive, critical part of Apple's very profitable services revenue. This creates a kind of mutual dependency that makes a clean break, well, a lot more complicated.
And this quote just frames Google's dilemma perfectly. By taking this deal, they are actively making their biggest competitor stronger. They are, as the source says, feeding the very beast that seeks to replace it. When you look at Apple's history, it's a huge, huge gamble. Which, of course, leaves us with the final big question. Is this a real long-term partnership, or is Google just the next stepping stone on Apple's relentless march toward total domination? History tells us one thing, but billions and billions of dollars in search revenue might just write a very different ending to this story.